The divisional officer of Idabato in Dian was kidnapped by unidentified gunmen, better still kidnappers. That was on the night of 30th of September 2024 into the 1st of October 2024. Mr. Ewane Roland, however, has not been seen. He is 60 days counting. He is still in captivity. His family is praying and hoping that he will be released. He was kidnapped alongside some few other persons who are still into captivity. However, the government has a long-standing policy of not negotiating with kidnappers or terrorists. That is the government long-standing principles and policies that they have always been true to, or they have always made their position known. The family of Ewane is hoping that miracles will come. But what is actually the cause and what actually made the government to take more than 2 months to officially issue a communique detailing what happened in Idabato, as many had thought that the government in itself seemingly is not giving this matter a very keen attention that it ought to have and it deserves, as the case is when a senior citizen alongside some Cameroonians are being kidnapped. Even without a senior citizen, as we are taught in civics and moral education, that the principal responsibility of a state or a government is to protect lives and properties, whether rich, poor, whether brown, black, whether intelligent or not intelligent, whether dark or fair, whether from which ethnic diversity or culture, whether from which division or region, as long as you are within the national territory, whether you are a national or not, that the government's sole responsibility is to protect lives and property. But since the 30th of September, breaking into the 1st of October 2024, the government spokesperson finally reacted on the 22nd of November 2024. That is from the 1st of September to the 1st of October, on the 30th of September to the 30th of October, 1 month. The government spokesperson and the government still had not given a communique detailing what actually happened. And from the 30th of October, counting down to the 22nd of November, that was when the government spokesperson actually sent out a communique acknowledging formally that this is what has happened. Dio Ewane Roland is adding to the list of Dio Namante in Batibo, who was kidnapped by the separatist fighters. Namante was kidnapped and it took 2 years for the mystery to be uncovered how he was kidnapped. His body has not still been seen as we speak till date, that of Dio Namante, who was kidnapped by Amazonian separatist fighters. His body has not yet been seen. Many are praying that the government will look into it. The kidnappers of Ewane Roland from Idabato in Dian are asking for over $500 million CFA, $500 million. Many are praying and hoping that the government will strike a balance between not negotiating with terrorists and protecting lives and properties of its citizens, and thus seeking a way where they can negotiate for the release of Mr. Ewane alongside others that were kidnapped in Idabato. But this would need prayers, as the government has a long-standing principle of not negotiating with terrorists. The question that many are asking is, what then is the fate of Mr. Ewane? If the government stay true to that policy of not negotiating with kidnappers, what then is his fate? Should the family do something? It is also illegal for a family to actually contribute money and pay kidnappers. It is also illegal. That will be termed aiding and abetting with the enemy. So what then should this family do? This is House of Commons with me, Tah Javis. Happy Sunday to all those of you watching us from different parts of the world. I want to wish you very, very happy, special Sunday to you, Mr. Nkem, and your wife are in the United States of America. In the studio, we've been joined by our panelists. We are hoping that one will also join us here in the studio. We are here with Mr. Kimbang Vitalis, who is a member of the Commons People's Democratic Movement. Mr. Kimbang, happy Sunday and thanks for joining us.
Happy Sunday, Javis. It's my pleasure to be here. I've been absent for some time because I was not well. I was admitted in hospital, but thank God I'm recovering. I'm back on my feet.
Happy Sunday.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yeah, also in the studio we are joined by Nick Nkem. Nick, happy Sunday and thanks for joining us.
Happy Sunday to you, Mr. Javis. Happy Sunday to all listeners of my media prime House of Common. Happy Sunday to my people, the loving people of Fontem. Happy Sunday to especially my former teacher, Pa Samson, who is also a fervent follower of this program, my media prime House of Common. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Also, we begin the program, and the second topic we shall be looking at the growing call for opposition coalition. Despite tribalism, nepotism among opposition leaders, will these leaders finally keep away greed and tribalism and look at what the Cameroonian people are asking them in terms of coming together? But first, we will now divert on the first topic, which is looking at the fact of the kidnapping of Idabato DO, 60 days in captivity. This DO is still in captivity 60 days. Kidnappers are demanding for $500 million, and the government has a long-standing principle of not negotiating with kidnappers or terrorists, and also there is a policy that family members of kidnapped victims should not give money to kidnappers. If that is done, it will be considered as a crime of promoting kidnapping. Mr. Kimbang Vitalis, this is a devil and a deep blue sea. It took the government more than almost 1 month, almost 2 months, to officially react as far as this is concerned. Not also praying that the governor of the Southwest region, Benau Kalabilai, was there I think that's 2 days or a day after he was kidnapped, and gave a 24-hour ultimatum that if that is not done, drastic measures will be taken against the people of that locality. But 24 hours, we are counting more than 30 of almost 60 days.
Yes, when it comes to this issue of kidnapping, it is something that is very complicated, and one cannot really say, because when I look at the situation on the ground, it is extremely very difficult, because when we say government does not negotiate with terrorists, actually you see that is something that is if government has to say, okay, they will negotiate with each kidnapper that kidnaps a person, you will discover that some people will even kidnap themselves so that government will pay money. So it is a very difficult situation, and I pity the family of Mr. Ewane. But notwithstanding, I think that government might openly say that they are not negotiating with the kidnappers, but I believe that we have government officials who are human beings too, and they feel the pains. Maybe from the background, like Emmanuel Renesadi said, something is being done, and we don't know what is being done. So I think that for the benefit of that, we can just trust the government and see if Mr. Ewane will be released. But it's a very difficult situation, and I think that we should keep in prayers, because you see, the kidnappers at first they were asking 1 billion, and 1.9 billion, 1.9 billion. Yes. With some other things, generators, flying boats, and all the light. You know, I think if the government has accepted to pay, they would not have gone down to have $1 billion now. And like I earlier said, it is a very difficult situation, and let's keep praying for Mr. Ewane and the family. But I believe that some government officials, maybe they might not be doing it in the name of the government, but I believe that they are helping the family to see how Mr. Ewane can be released.
Okay, the issue now is you are saying that there should probably still negotiation. But that was the same thing that happened with the deal of Batty Boy. Eh? We counted, government said, no, we are going to look into it. We had a long-standing policy of not negotiating with
I think the one of Batty Boy was not kidnapping.
Yeah, but
he was just picked up from his house and he
was adopted.
And
he was adopted. It's almost the same thing.
And he disappeared. Mr. Javis, there's something. No, I live in the Northwest. If the government says you will be negotiating with the terrorists for each and every government official that is kidnapped,
it will become an open market.
I think that it will become an open market. Like I earlier said, some people will even negotiate that they should be kidnapped so that money will be paid. And that's why, by not saying that we cannot negotiate with the terrorists, I think the number of people that are being kidnapped, the number of government officials that are being kidnapped has reduced. Because the kidnappers know that once they kidnap you, it is the problem between you and them and your family. It's not between them and the government. Because there are some government officials in the Northwest that has been kidnapped, and maybe they start from, say, okay, we need 10 million. At the end, it goes down right to maybe 2 or 1 million, and the person is released. So I think that by not saying that government cannot negotiate with terrorists, I think I cannot blame the government on that aspect, because if they liberalize it, it will become an open market, and every government official sent in the war zone would like to be kidnapped, and government pays money and they share it, because I know what Cameroon is all about.
But Nick, how do we understand this, that the governor gave 24 hours ultimatum, and was his approach wrong or right? Did his approach further escalate the situation? Because he gave a warning and he told the people that within 24 hours, if they don't see the deal and the other person's kidnapped, the people will be held responsible and something drastic will be done.
To me, I think the approach was kind of wrong, and it was a kind of administrative exuberance, which was not supposed to be the case. And in terms of administration, you don't just act like that, and you act with some caution, because we're talking about human life here in danger, and you cannot just come and then accuse a population that they have abated the kidnapping of the DO, and then you ground the place, you give a curfew, an economic curfew on the place, and set until the DO is released on that. I don't know the actual situation of the place now, whether shops there have been open or not. It's something we need to do an investigation to know. Yeah, it is true. The government cannot say openly that they will negotiate with terrorists when its citizens are in danger. No government will do that. But every government negotiates, even right up to the highest government, the most powerful government in the world, the American government. They do negotiate with terrorists. We've seen them negotiate with Al-Qaeda terrorists in exchange of maybe American citizens and maybe some of their terrorists. But every government has they have a secret service, and that's their job, that's their duty. They are the ones who do these things on the background. But officially, the government cannot say we will negotiate with terrorists. They have a way of doing it. The government has an open and a secret way of functioning that everybody may not be opportune to know. But you cannot make that an open market. If not, it will come a situation where you will not be able to control. Yeah, the government has actually sought the release of maybe some French citizens in the north. When the issue of Boko Haram was hot, we saw some French citizens. I think it was a priest and some Reverend sisters that were.
But they said nothing was given, that no money was paid, no ransom was paid.
Of course, we cannot prove. We cannot prove whether money was given or not.
Yes.
So at the end of the day, you just have to believe by the version of the government, because you cannot say your own contract. You don't have any evidence to that.
Even those who have been kidnapped.
Even the wife of Madu Ali, that was kidnapped also.
Just to ask again, you are talking about the fact that probably negotiations are on the way, but we've had cases where most of these people kidnapped end up not coming back alive. For example, the Indian 5. The Indian 5, they said the kidnappers were asking for money. in the beginning. They asked
Yes.
for 1 billion or so.
Yeah.
I'm sure in the beginning they asked for 1 billion. When
Yes, but
the Indian 5 were kidnapped.
Yeah.
but if we are following the Amazonian media, they will discover that instruction came from America that they should be killed.
Yeah, but probably that was
and-
when the ransom was not paid, because
not paid,
from the
mhm.
first day when we were told that I think it was an alleged 10 Kobo or somebody
Yeah.
had kidnapped the Indian 5, that they were asking for over 1 billion,
1 billion. Yeah.
to be paid, and this is still Indian. It's
Yeah.
the same division.
Yes.
So Indian. So now, how sure are we that we will not get to that situation of the Indian 5? Because we are looking at more than 30 days, almost 60 days.
Yeah, if you look at the video where how he was tortured, let me not discourage the family, but let us hope that he will come back alive, because the type of treatment given to him is inhumane, which is very, very bad. Then I also want to comment on the issue of the governor of the Southwest region giving ultimatum that if they don't come back 24
Yes,
hours. I think for me that was not the right thing, because he is already in their keeping,
Yeah.
and you don't have they say they don't have. It's not like somebody locks another person in the house and he's holding the key. You don't have the access to the key and you are threatening.
Because he said they were
And
going to ground businesses.
Even if you grant businesses, the businesses does not belong to the kidnappers.
Yeah.
Yes, that is the wrong approach that we have.
His view was that these persons who kidnapped the duo, and whereas 2 others probably are people known within the community, and that the community must have participated.
That is the reason why the Anglophone crisis is going on, keeps on going on, because some government official believes that when Amber comes in the community and commit crimes, the people on the ground should suffer. And that is the very approach which the governor was taking, which is not correct. The people might not even have idea about the kidnappers. Just like when Amber comes to a community and kidnaps and go, instead of the government officials coming to maybe to be friendly with the people on the ground so that people can give the information, the people become victims. And when they become victims, they don't know where to belong. They can I cannot be a victim and I give you information, even if I know it. So the governor saying giving ultimatum, I think it was a very, very wrong approach, because it could even anger them to say that, okay, means that since you have said like this, means that we'll do like this. And since you don't, you the governor, you will not do anything. So I think that it was the way Akeremona wrote a letter that was so touching, that could prick your conscience, that could prick the conscience of the kidnappers. That is the approach that the governor would have taken, rather than threatening them. When I read what Akeremona wrote, he wrote like a statesman. He wrote like somebody who can prick your conscience to feel that what I'm doing is not correct. He was not threatening, but he made them to understand that Mr. Iwana was there to look for bread for his family. He was not there. He was not there to cause problems to them, so that he was begging them that they should feel for the family of Iwane, they should feel for the children, they should feel for the wife, and release Mr. Iwane. Because if you go on threatening them that 24 hours, okay, 24 hours has passed.
Yeah,
okay, now it's 30 days. Okay, what have you done now?
What have you done?
So
more than 30 days.
Yes, I've always been saying these things, because in the Northwest, mostly in the Northwest, when Amber gives their own communique, the DO or the SDO will give his own.
Yeah.
Then they say, no, vehicle will not circulate, that bikes will not circulate. Amber will say, okay, if bikes are not circulating, vehicles too will not circulate. At the end of it all now, the Amber will win, because they have to. The population will submit to the pressure of the Amber. Then you will discover now that you are losing your powers as an administrator of a place. Whereas if that thing occur like that, and you don't know and don't have a solution to it, please just be quiet. Sometimes they say that one of the greatest weapons against your enemy is silent.
Yeah.
Because when you are silent, your enemy will not know the next action that you will take.
So did you agree with Mr. Kimbang that probably the governor's outing of the Southwest region in Idabato may have been the reason that probably angered the kidnappers?
Yeah, maybe to even place a ransom, because by then they had not even identified who the kidnappers were.
Yes.
They had not demanded any ransom, or maybe that outing provoked them to do that.
And could further make to torture the kidnapped victim.
Yeah, don't forget that these guys who kidnap they are part of the larger network of kidnappers who are found in the Republic of Nigeria, the Federal Republic of Nigeria. You know that kidnapping there is a very huge lucrative business that is even manned by top government officials there, top military people who are connected. The kidnapping business, there is something that is very complicated. And if you want to really dig deep into all of these things, you will see that there are a lot of complicities involved, maybe even within that community. We don't want to maybe point accusing fingers, but the government just they know best what to do. And we're praying, we also know that maybe the family is doing something. And we're praying
now
that
it's also illegal for a family to contribute money.
No, we're not saying that the government, the family.
You cannot say it's illegal. Okay, if you are in on the Mr. Iwane's wife's position, what will you do?
Yeah, that's what I'm asking.
Your husband is crying and saying that people should please contribute money. Let me be released. You say no. Government has said that it's illegal.
It's also based on. I want us to look at official things. What do we do now in this kind of situation? Because the governor, we are saying that probably negotiation on the way, negotiation. Maybe the governor out may have further pushed the kidnappers to torture this person to prove a point that this is what your government is saying. This is what was he insensitive to the fact that most of these people, though being a Cameroonian land, but more of them have a different cultural inclination?
I don't think it was he lacked knowledge about the region or the place where he was the divisional officer. He actually knew the psychology of the people who are there. 95% of people living there are Nigerians. They have never really seen themselves as Cameroonians since the transfer of that peninsula to Cameroon. And that was one of the clauses. It was the responsibility of the government to take care of these people, to make sure that educate them, to get accepted, for them to know that, accept that they are Cameroonians. But over the years, the operation in that place seems to be like it is still Nigerian territory, because we go there, the naira is the predominant currency that is being used there, and in a Cameroonian territory, all of these things are things that we don't really understand. And I know the government is doing something, but what they are doing is not enough. The Bakassi Peninsula is still so much enclave. There is no tar road linking to that place. You remember, the governor had to travel through sea, through Limbe to go there, and he could not travel through by road. These are some of the things that make the people to believe that they have been abandoned, or to think that bringing them to Cameroon was an error. And so it is what the government has to do a lot in this direction. They have to do a lot of education. They have to maybe do a lot of development. And so in that kind of situation, when a peninsula is transferred to a country, you have to it has to be a special task force. You have to create a special task force that takes care of development, education in that kind of situation. But it's as if it was just abandoned to administrators and the rest. And at 2006 to now, so many years that peninsula was transferred to Cameroon, and the people living there are still feeling like they are Nigerians. I don't think most of them even have Cameroonian nationality, and so it's a very complicated situation.
I even learned the kidnappers were saying that their brothers, the other people who are kidnapped, who were arrested by Cameroon government and are in Buea, should also be released.
Yes, that was one of the
conditions. I think that if I was in the place of the government, I could not base on that. Maybe I release those people then.
But what if those people also were? This is a kind of a devil and a deep blue sea situation. Because what if those who are now being asked, or probably if kidnappers are asking that they are in the central prison to be released? Maybe what if they are hardened criminals who probably have been found guilty to have carried out acts against fellow Cameroonians or probably killed a Cameroonian, you release that person?
The thing that, well, like Nick was saying, kidnapping, you have heard about the bandits in Nigeria. Yeah. If you read newspapers that are coming from Nigeria every day, huh? The one of Mr. Ewane is like is just a drop of salt inside an ocean, because in a day in Nigeria, they have kidnapped 100 people, they have kidnapped 50 people, they have kidnapped. So I think that for the sake of peace, the government would have based its negotiations on say, okay, we'll release your people and you release Mr. Ewane, because whether there are 4 or 5 or 20 Nigerians who are in central prison is not going to solve the problem of banditry and kidnapping at the peninsula.
Now the question now is, assuming the government release these people, what guarantee does the government or do they have that, okay, this man is still alive, or okay, we release this person, we will not come for further kidnapping?
Okay, it means that if we are basing our argument on that, it means that there's no need to negotiate. Because actually, yes. Because what guarantee do we have that if we give the money he will be released?
He will be released.
Or what guarantee do we have that if we give the money they will not come for the next deal that will be sent there? So we are just like benefit of doubts. Yeah. Yes, just the benefit of doubt. But like what Nick said, if the government can try to see how they can develop the area, maybe. Because I know that the next person who will be sent there, if I'm the one, I will weigh it, I will weigh the salary, and I will weigh my life. Then I will decide which one to take. Yes, because some life is something that has no duplicate. Once you go, you go. And so if you weigh between money and life, you will discover that life has more weight than money. And I think that the next person who will go in there, maybe if he will not be sleeping, because at the slightest noise from a chicken outside, he will be up.
But Nick, how do we explain this? This is a peninsula that has the bees, because it's a peninsula that constantly is under security issues. Today you hear it's under, which means that it should be the most protected peninsula and the most protected area within this territory. How do we understand that kidnappers in a peninsula that experience war, and in a peninsula that is in sharing borders with high, because they're always pirates, that always come and threaten? How do we understand that enough security was not given to the divisional officer of that area, who is like the head of state of that area, in that kind of peninsula that is highly volatile? How did these people pass? Who was in charge of security? Those are the questions that Cameroonians need to have answers from. Who were in charge of security? How was the DO secured? What is the parameter of the security? Because at the level the communique released by the minister did not give these details.
Of course, you have to also know that the bee are human also. They are not angels. The people, the human beings, military people with guns also. And the difference between them and the pirates are the similarities are all of them having guns, and most of the time these pirates are very well armed. There are people who have been trained by maybe some military people. When you study the history of kidnappings in Nigeria, there are some of their network are manned by top military officials who train these people on how to manipulate or heavy duty guns and the rest. So the issue is true. The bee are there. I think that was even one of the reasons the bee was created, to fight these pirates in the sea. That was one of the main reasons that ushered the creation of the bee. So they are actually there. They are working. They are doing a good job there. But you have to also know that the Bakassi Peninsula is very porous. Also, we have so many porous borders there.
I agree
the bee cannot really do everything.
I agree with the porosity, Nick. My question is this: we know that it's porous. You and I already know it's porous. We know anything can happen. How come we are at the level that we have not been told the security condition under which this deal was taken? Was it at the hostage?
It could be a breach of internal security.
See,
that is possible.
There is something. Yeah. There is something. I live in the Northwest, and I've been seeing situations where people will ask, where were the soldiers? There was a situation where there was a place where Amber used to come and and disturb the population. So they created a B checkpoint there. That's a military checkpoint there, and the military were kept there. So the Amba behaved as if they are forgotten the place. So you know that the military too, there are also people now.
Yeah.
Yes, they're people. So they became very relaxed. After all, we have been here for 2 months, 3 months, no attacks. So by the time they are very relaxed, they surprise them, and all of them, they are gone. So that can be the same thing that must have happened.
Yeah.
Maybe these guys might be monitoring the security men that were guiding the DO and just giving that, okay, the day that this guy will just shift a little like this, will come and finish with him. You know that the person who's taking guard is more at risk than the person who's coming to attack. Obviously. Because you are not seeing the person who's attacking, but the person sees you, he monitors you, he knows what you do at any time. So I think that maybe they were monitoring them, and just by maybe the military giving gap, they came.
But these are just assumptions. Now, I want to understand this situation. Let's assume they had the capability of taking away the deal, but we were not told if they were gunshots or there were exchanges. We were not told, because or is the deal of a Idabato, because every deal has a protection, has some few elements that protects them. Now, if you are looking at, especially in the northwest and southwest region, deals in the northwest and southwest regions, in these volatile, highly red zones, have adequate protection. Now, the northern and southwest region, it was not all, is not as volatile as Bakassi Peninsula.
Some deals in the northwest and southwest, they don't sleep in their residence. In the night, they go and sleep somewhere else.
Yeah.
That's the truth. The night, they go and sleep somewhere else. Because let's say, okay, you have 4 military men guiding you, and the night 50 Amba comes. They come. What can 4 military men?
What can they do?
Yes, they are professionals now. We have been told that. No, we watch movies now.
No,
we watch movies. Hollywood movies have 2 soldiers with dismantle the entire 50 terrorists.
Those are movies. But when it comes to this, you have been
Don't also forget that they also do their own training.
Yes, these guys, they do their own training.
They do their own training.
And
they watch.
They are not professionals.
They watch movies also.
They watch movies and they do training.
But they are not professionals.
The only difference might be the legality. They are not legal.
We have cases where people have been kidnapped and they come back and say, the camp where I was taking to, those guys, they train every morning. Yes. And we have cases where some soldiers have defected. Like what happened was, there was one soldier in Vekovi in Chakiri, who was a trained soldier who left Yaoundé, defected, and was training the Amba boys in Bekovi. So you expect the training that he got from the military, he's just going to transfer to them. And normally they will have the same skills like the military, although they are not professionals.
Yes.
Okay, now my follow-up question is, because somebody should be held accountable for the security breaches. In normal country or in any other situation, we'll have this update.
No, but I think they should sort the release of the deal first before bringing accountability to maybe who breach security or not. The life of the deal is the most important. It is a very disturbing situation to see that maybe your father is in the hands of people who can end his life at any time. They can just get up one morning and get angry and
sometimes
your life. So it's very psychologically touching.
When you speak, I just think that we have more than 30 years to reach where you are talking, because there are certain things that we see in maybe in Europe, and we just imagine that they can be practiced.
When you say imagine that, we were told and we have been told that we are in an advanced democracy.
In theory.
We are
theoretically advanced.
So we should expect, that's why I'm asking this question.
See, mentally we might be in advanced democracy on the paper, but mentally we are still in the colonial era.
Yeah.
Because we are also being told that we are in a state of law.
In the paper.
Mentally,
we are still in the
normally, we are supposed to be a state of law. A state of law or a state of anarchy.
Yes.
So we are supposed to be a state of law. It's just normal.
Because, see, when I say mentally, is because I've seen cases where we say we are in the state of law. A police officer can arrest you for a different crime and charge you for a different crime.
Yeah.
And in report, they will believe him.
Okay.
So we are in the state of law on paper, but not on practice.
Happy Feast Christ the King to all in the studio. Special greetings to Kimbang. Tell him we have been missing him. I agree with him 100% on the issue of negotiation with terrorists. I'm sure they are doing that in the background, because if it's open and with all these officials we have in this country, then don't be surprised to hear soon that the PM has been kidnapped in the interest in the nearest future. We are in a deep shit in this country, and young people have discovered best ways of making money, which to me is blood money. Hyson from Yaoundé, he says, welcome back again, Mr. Kimbang.
Okay, Hyson, I sure should be one of my colleagues when I was still working in the microfinance. He was like my boss. Okay. He's working with Keep Cool, I'm sure.
This was a happy Sunday to you guys in the studio. To me, I think the government should negotiate before it gets too late, because we are moving towards 2 months, and the best way to secure a release is within 3 weeks of kidnapping. When it goes above 1 or 2 months, anything can happen, because at that time the kidnappers may suffer from fatigue and they will not have the luxury of moving the kidnapped victim from one location to another. Thus they may result in what we don't want. That you understand what I mean by what we don't want, as you said in Namante. Thank you very much. This other one, right, it says, happy Sunday to you guys. I'm enjoying the program. This is a very eye-opening program where we must understand that the line between negotiating and non-negotiating with terrorists is based on one's personal conscience, because the government needs to be very, very because the government needs to be very, very dash in securing the release. If they don't secure the release, if I'm a DO, I will never go in such a place or even go in an area that has conflict. Masurai says, where were the security officials, Mr. Javis? Did the DO have security or not? Nick, before coming to Kimbang. From the 30th of September, this man was kidnapped. It took the government almost 2 months to officially give out a communique. Is it that they were not aware?
Obviously, they were aware. They were aware.
Or is it that they did not take this serious?
We cannot so much judge the government, because
2 months.
It is part of the advanced democracy you mentioned, so you cannot really so much judge them since we are an advanced democracy. So.
No, like Elias said, there are certain things that the government cannot just react immediately, because if the government reacts immediately, I said here that silence is a weapon. Maybe the government was silent to create confusion in the minds of the kidnappers. But since it has seen that it is getting out of hands, they have decided to come out. Because if it's every situation that government must come out and say something, government will come and say something, it will give kidnappers, because it will give kidnappers some weight.
I'm not cutting you short.
Yes.
We are talking about 2 months. Yeah. Nothing stopped the government spokesperson to come and say, we have learned about the kidnapping of a DO of Idabato, along with one Cameroonian. We will update the Cameroonian people once we have this information as the circumstances. We are working so hard to secure his release and that of his family, and we want to tell the family that together we are with them and we'll see what we can do. And the entire public should also be aware that the government has so and so and so. Is that so difficult for? We see this on other nations now. We see it in Nigeria. We see it in Kenya. We see it everywhere. So will you mean to tell me that we are silent for 2 months? It's powerful.
We know how our Cameroon operates, Javis. We know how Cameroon operates. There are certain things that, in Kenya that they do that in Cameroon we don't do it. There are certain things that they do in Nigeria that we don't do them here. So we know how our government operates. So I don't know the reason behind them being quiet for 2 months. But I want to trust them and believe that at the background they were doing something to see that Mr. Awene is released.
One of the issues that is giving me, making me worry is that we have had incidents where these things ended up in a sad situation. This is not the first DO to be kidnapped, I'm sure, Indian. It's not the first.
Yes, not the first, I'm sure.
Sure, it's not the first.
Yeah.
We are looking at other areas where look like the Indian 5. I want us to look at the same Indian again. The Indian 5. First, the government has not been able to identify fully whether these people are totally Nigerians or part of the embassy. Because it's a kind of complex network now.
I think that the guys who kidnapped Mr. Awane, they acknowledge that they are from Nigeria.
Okay, good.
Yes.
They are from Nigeria.
Yes.
Now, the same Dian situation when Dian 5 were kidnapped, we're told that they have been moved to Nigeria. A lot of conspiracy theories, and it finally ended so sadly.
Mm-hmm.
Now, my worry is that we are moving towards this. We are 2 months gone.
Otherwise, I don't want to say, I don't want to believe that they will kill Mr.
Can we
Awane.
not accelerate this
Accelerate
the negotiation?
Acceleration is just giving money now. That's the government
Well,
does
say
not do
accelerate,
that.
They are saying that, okay, they should call the rack, carry over, come and collect money.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'm watching Baminda.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I was following the program and I'm from Irapaye and I want to greet Mr. Vitalis.
Yes, sir.
I want to contribute my own by saying that if I'm the one, I will not go to, I will not work there.
Why?
Because it's dangerous to work there.
What advice will you?
I cannot risk my life to work in such a place.
What advice will you give to the family now of this DO who are probably praying and hoping that their DO, their brother and wife, husband will be released?
My advice is that they should. Very difficult. If I'm the one, I will negotiate. I will negotiate with them.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes, to pay my husband, I will negotiate with them.
Okay.
I mean the wife now.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Very well, Mr. Anfomi.
Okay.
Very well.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Anfomi Rafaye. Is my colleague in Bamenda. He's a very hardworking guy. He's a very good friend and a good listener of my media prime.
So
Thank you very much.
Now, wrapping up this situation, what will you give as advice to the government? Because it's a kind of very difficult situation. If you say you release, you give this money, you are not sure whether this money will go and motivate them to come and kidnap other DOs again. The issue now is, what is it not an opportunity for us to review our security apparatus in the Bakassi Peninsula, especially as far as those other people are concerned? If they are to appoint another DO, just a minute. Hello? Yes.
Of course, you have to know that security-wise, the security people cannot win when they are not in collaboration with the people on ground.
Yes.
It's very difficult most of the time. Because
Yes, hello?
Hello, this is Chief Ndape.
Yes.
Calling from Bangen Kupe Manengova.
Yes, Your Royal Majesty.
Yeah, I want to contribute in this program, Mr. Javis.
Yes, Your Majesty. Continue.
Yes, it's a bit unfortunate that most of those kidnapped in that peninsula are always Bakossi people. One, I was a witness, an assistant DO was kidnapped, a lieutenant colonel was kidnapped, a Bombay Stephen of that same Idabato was kidnapped, and today you have another Bakossi man who is still in their custody. You know, Mr. Javis, during the day of Honorable Ebongole,
Yes,
he
Your
made a
Majesty.
statement and he said that anybody working within the territorial boundaries, especially Indian, should handle Indian like an egg. But today, most of our uniformed persons, like one was saying in Bangam, that don't you know that office and a God? The moment they have been educated as military men, they become authoritative. And you know, the the administrators too, since they go through ENA and the ruler military district, they always talk with authority, which is not correct.
Probably.
And not include with the statement of the governor of Southwest, who was imposing situation to those persons who did kidnap our deal. So the way forward is let the government take serious measure. They're talking of the government spokesman who spoke after 2 years.
2 months.
After 2 months.
Yes. So we know they are underground talking between the government and the government of Cameroon and that of Nigeria. Because I saw the behavior of the Nigerian consulate when they wanted to interview him in Boya. It's not the journalist and went away. I didn't feel fine. As one of your partners was saying that this is kidnapping in Nigeria is a total business, a full-time business. But in Cameroon, it's not such a situation. So I pray that the government should be negotiating and let the family of the girl who is kidnapped go to mystical powers and find other ways. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Your Majesty. Thank you and happy Sunday. I'm where?
Happy.
Okay.
Very interesting.
We want to be happy.
No, the interesting part is that one of going to the mystical. No, but it can still be true. It can still be true because Africans, we Africans, we believe that mystical powers can work, and so they too they can still go that way. And I believe that it can also work because we should not underrate it. Yes, we should underrate it. So I think that what. Let me just contribute to what the Majesty has said. What the Majesty has said is very, very correct. I've always said here that if you are sent to an area and you go there and you behave as if you are a demigod there, the people will never cooperate with you. Never. And once they don't cooperate with you, you can never work in that area smoothly. He
says the officers will always tell you that don't you know the officer and God.
And that is what has been happening. And that will what was happening in the Northwest and the Southwest. When the military people, sometimes they feel that they are gods, that the people on the ground, they don't have anything to say or to do, and that they can be mistreated at any time. And once you mistreat a people, there's no way you can expect them to give you information. I know police people who work in Bamenda that they move in town freely and nobody can tamper with them because they are down to earth. They work with the people. But when you come and you want to show that police officer now God, that is when it is going to make your work very, very complicated. I want to believe that when people are given posts of responsibility, they should make sure that they do it with love and do it in such a way that the people will be very happy to cooperate with them and to work with them together.
Okay, thank you very much. We've just been joined by senior man, Mr. Atem Ebako, who is also here with us. We are looking at this situation of the kidnapping of the Indian divisional officer of Idabato. Many people are reacting and asking the question that where were security officials? But before I get to Mr. Atem, let me take on this one. Hello, Mr. Javis. Good job. I am Abel from Ikondo Titi. The DO need military to say something of the kidnapping. That the military need to say something about the kidnapping. Hello?
Hello?
Yes, sir.
Is that MM?
Yes, it's my Media Prime TV.
Okay, I just want to contribute that.
Yes, sir.
I'm a mama.
Yes, mom. Yes, mom.
Yes, I just want to contribute from Bamenda.
Yes,
that
mom.
This kidnapping is not only the boys in the bush. It is arranged with the soldiers that they sent here, the uniform men that they sent here, and then they connive and do all this action so that when they take the money that they share, and when they don't share it correctly, you will hear that these people have they were were fighting within themselves, and then they killed so soldiers, they killed so people in the bush. That is what is happening in Bamenda, and I don't know whether that is protection that they are coming to protect us in Bamenda. So I just want to tell you that that is what is going on in Bamenda. Even they connive, the uniform people connive with even thieves to kidnap.
Okay,
so I don't want to inform you like that. I'm a mother, and I really don't know where Cameroons are going to. I don't know where we are marching to. It's just God that will take control over it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mom. Thank you very much.
Let me react to that.
Briefly, sir.
Yes, what Mama is saying is very, very correct, because we have discovered that most of the young people sent in Bamenda to go and protect the civilian there, they have gone there and they are doing business. I don't think that there's a general who will send a military man in Bamenda and say, I will go and do kidnapping. But when the youths go there, they would turn the whole thing into money making, which is very, very bad.
Okay. Hello, Mr. Javis. Good job. I am Abel from Ekondo. Titi, concerning the DO, the military need to say something about the kidnapping. Mr. Atem, thank you for joining us. So we are looking at the situation of the kidnapping of the DO of Idabato. We're almost rounding up with this first part of the discussion. It took the government 2 months because this man was kidnapped on the 30th of September. It took the government reacted only on the 22nd of November 2024. What could have caused this long delay of official release? And second, the kidnappers are demanding $1.5 billion. And the government has a long-standing principle or policy of not negotiating with kidnappers or terrorists. In this situation, what then should the family do?
Mr. Tah Javis, I would first like to send my sympathy and my condolence to the family who are at this difficult period. It's not easy because being a GO, he is a family head and he is a husband. Is somebody who is the head of a family. So this is a very difficult situation, having to be a civil servant in a society to serve the people and to find himself in this difficult position. I think this is very, very complicated. We cannot only think that the government has all the responsibility to play. I think that not only the family as well, but the society at large has something to also give as a contribution to see how these negotiations can go successfully so that the GO can return back to his family before he gets back to office. So this is very important. And then secondly, you have to also put into consideration that Ambazonians are not money makers. They have a cause and they have an objective, which is to secede. And I think that if we have a situation like this and it is tied to separatist fighters, I think there's a question sign there. It could either be some group of people who are using the cause as a source of making money, a source of income, and a source to become rich. Because this is a situation that we are having in our society today, when there is always a crisis or there is always a problem. Other greedy human beings will always see it as a means to make money from other poor people. So this is the situation in which we are facing here. So how do we go about this kind of a situation? You see, it's difficult because right now there is a ransom and there is an amount which is set in place, and we understand as well the position of the government. And many people also have to understand that the government cannot protect a people that they do not find as, how do I put it, they do not see them as people who belong in the same household. Because if you in the first instance recognize that these are my own people, then you should have protected them from the very beginning and not create a crisis which is going to create a demand for them to beg to be protected. So these are the challenging factors that we are facing today in the Northwest and in the Southwest. So that is why you see when structures are not refurbished or they are not put in perspective, we always keep having this kind of problems and this kind of consequences. What we are discussing here today is the consequences of colonial legacies. And sometimes when we discuss about this foundation, people keep saying that why are we going back, that it was in the history, but these are ongoing events which we still realize how colonialism still affects us.
Of what we are experiencing.
Yes, directly or indirectly. So how do we go about this very complex situation? I think that the government will have to review its position and understand that they are also responsible to secure and to provide not only security, but assurance, some level degree of assurance to their officials in cases like this where they are helpless and their families who were depending on them, knowing that their husbands and their fathers were serving the population of this country. We understand that even though many of them are not very upright, but at the end of the day, when you decide to serve a nation, you stand for the people. So in spite of all the odds, we want to believe that he is a servant to this society, and I think that the government at this point will have to review its position. So what the population and the masses should do is to be able to push the government to see how they can indirectly get to these people. These are not separatist fighters. These are, because if they want to use the policy of non-negotiation, that will only be on the context if they were dealing with separatist fighters. But in looking at reality here, the cause and the objectives of the separatist fighter was not a financial problem. They spoke about marginalization. They spoke about, having to... The things that were put in the table in the beginning when this whole thing started had nothing to do with money. So this is not an economic issue. I think this is more of a social and cultural issue. So the government will have to change its position to see how they can find a means to negotiate. I use the word negotiate with these non-separatist fighters who are using this event and this crisis in a means to make money, and see how they can allow the Jew to go back to his family and get back to his office.
Now, let me also cue you in from this one. When this incident occurred, the governor of the Southwest region, Benau Kalia Bilai, went to Indian and gave a 24-hour ultimatum. He warned that if this deal is not released within 24 hours, he will ground businesses. Could this have been an issue that probably aggravated this man's long stay in captivity? Was that approach necessary?
Well, you see, that's why I say that we do not put things in the right perspective. Because if you go and give an ultimatum, it means you are telling us that you know the people who have arrested him. That's what you are telling us. Because, no, you can only say that to your subjects, that you know you are in control of them. So you are giving them an ultimatum for them to release him. So these statements are very ambiguous. That's what I'm trying to say. That the people you are assuming to be dealing with are not... That's what I'm trying to tell you. So you see, that's why even when the lady complained of having to have officials involved in events like this, we can agree with them. If a governor can be making a statement like this, we are all learned Cameroonians. When people speak, we understand from what energy they are speaking from. So what I'm saying here is that the government should change its position and see how this geo can have a safe return back to its home. This is very, very important because the population is helpless, except that somebody will lead them to the captors, the people who are keeping him in custody. Then we can have another solution. But if no one have access to these people and the community is not willing to open up for their own security, which again the government cannot protect them. So at the end of the day, the government is supposed to take full responsibility for the crisis which they motivated to put it at the point at which it is today. They should be able to also mitigate in solving situations like this.
Good afternoon and happy Sunday to you in the studio. Watching from whom I wish to advise the family and the entire country to go down on our knees and pray that God should touch the hearts of the kidnappers to release the deal for us. May George writing from whom. This was all right. It says, hello Javis, good afternoon, and your panelists. I think the government can negotiate. With the kidnappers, even through the wife. Let it be like the wife is the one paying the ransom. Thank you. My humble opinion. I am Tobang writing from Noni. Nkononi, that is in the northwest region. These other ones is I agree with Mr. Ebako. He has said a lot of things that I agree with him. I think the government should really look into its policy, because these are not Ambazonian fighters that kidnap this deal that they can be saying that they will not negotiate. These are Nigerians in Bakassi Peninsula. And also, it's also very difficult for us to understand whether Ambazonian fighters were part of this team, because we have been told that Nigerians have now joined the Ambazonians to fight, especially in the northwest region. There were reports that some of those from Nigeria came and joined the Amba fighters to fight for the separation. So in the same thing in Indian, one cannot be so certain. But if the governor had given a 24 hours ultimatum, as Mr. Atem said, it therefore means that the governor knows who probably these guys are, because it's difficult to easily give ultimatum without knowing who these people are. Or should we just say that it was just a careless statement? This is coming from an anonymous sender. We are wrapping up with this topic. We'll move now to the second topic. This second topic, I'll start with you, Mr. Ebako. We are looking at 2025 presidential election around the corner. Many Cameroonians of goodwill, some of the opposition, are calling for the opposition to come together and form one force to see how they can actually go in as a force with the CPDM, which has a best majority. But the question now is, greed and tribalism, will it allow the same people to come together? You are Pan-Africanist. How should the population or the people of the entire Cameroon, the local people, I'm talking about the people who are doing all the traders, the businessmen, the bricklayers, those the ordinary people, what must they do to approach this election?
Tah Javis, I think, is very simple and easy. If people have to form a coalition, must not be under political parties. That is a very wrong approach, because these are different concepts and ideologies. It's like asking other different religions to come together. It's very, very impossible. So what I think can be possible is the people themselves who militate under those political parties, who are giving those parties the air to breathe in order to survive, should now retrieve themselves back and then form a coalition of a one-party system. And this should be the voice of the people and not the voice of political parties or the voice of a political party. This is very important. If the masses can come together under a common objective that we want to build this nation for Cameroonians, they will have a leeway. The only language which the United Nations understands for a revolution or for a takeover is when the masses rise, not through a political party. If a political party has to rise up to rebel against a government, they will consider you to be a terrorist. So, but when the masses stand up, they understand that that's the government of the nation, because at the end of the day, we are looking for an administration or a leader who is going to meet the demands of the people. And so that's why we always say that the people are the reflection of their leader. So if you are coming from a minority group and you expect a president who also was nominated from another minority group to serve you, it's impossible. God cannot be mocked. You cannot reap what you did not sow. So until we build a synergy of unity, that's when we can have leaders who are going to meet the demands of the nation. But if you allow these divisions that we are having today of over 350 something political party,
more than even the total number of
and then you have a ruling party who is in power, it's just like a Christianity will never take a place of Muslim. So they will only do what is going to be beneficiary to the party which they believe in. And that's why we talk about partisan politics and partisan leaders. So when we get this kind of leaders in power, you don't expect them to make your life better because you did not vote them. This is very important. So, and we also have to understand that in elections, the people who remain in power are those that are sponsored by the foreign hands who have interest in that particular nation and is looking for a government to put in place to keep the existing treaties, which we never discuss them in our parliament. As a matter of fact, Cameroonians do not even know. We only live to suffer the consequences and tend to blame our leaders, but we fail to understand that our approach towards every election has always been wrong, which is why we always choose wrong leaders, because foundations and principles of approaching solutions are wrong. So you cannot reap what you did not sow. So the problem here is not the administration. Even though they have a chain of responsibility to take, the chain here, the blame should be put on the masses, on the people who have refused to build synergy. You cannot explain the fact that we are living in a country of 26 to 27 million people, and in a period of election you can only see 500, you can only see 1 million. Where is the masses? They are all dissolved in political parties.
You have raised a very important issue, Mr. Ebako. You're right, because if we, for years, in 2011 presidential election, people called for coalition, opposition coalition. They did not. in 2018, the same call for coalition. They do not. In 2025 now, the same opposition party are not willing, and which means that it's the same masses that follow this party can easily leave these people and form a coalition. Which means that those who are calling for this party to form a coalition should go by what you are saying. They should come together and form a civil society, and that if you must come and preach to us the idea before we know whether we are backing you or not.
It's as simple as that. So this is what I'm saying, that we have been inculcated in our minds to feel that we can only have leaders if we have a democratic election. That's how we should vote leaders. But we have seen in societies today, like I gave example of Libya. Libya today is now a democratic state. They have the same problems we're having today in Cameroon. Same like Iraq we saw, same like Syria. So we come to realize that we have a problem of the way we choose leaders. That system does not work for Africans, because we have always realized that it's a very corrupted system. We cannot gamble the lives and destinies of our nation and of our coming generation through election. So that's why it's very important for us to understand that we can go back to the very former traditional way of appointing or nominating leaders. Competent men that we trust, who will give us leaders that will meet the demands of the people, and the people will stand behind the leader. We saw that in Mali. Assimi Goïta was not democratically elected to be a president in Mali. Niger, Guinea-Conakry, Burkina Faso, and you have this other country, if I'm not mistaken. So if we follow this traditional, some people will think it's a coup. No, but trust me, all presidential, all Gabon as well. So all democratic elections are legalized coups, because it's always the minority that ends up to rule the majority, because the president will always come up from a minority group. So you cannot tell me that a population of a political party that has a vote of 1 million persons that was considered to be the majority in that election. So are you telling us now that the population of Cameroon is 1 million? So that's a legalized coup, which does not work, and this is what people don't understand. We run away from coup, but we, the same Cameroonians and Africans, still go again and still choose a dictator using a coup which you don't understand. So why don't we just come together and say, okay, if it is CPM that is working for Cameroonians, why don't we just all be CPDM?
If it's this one,
why don't we all just be one party system, so that if they are not suffering the inflation of prices, if they are not suffering the economic crisis, we too should all get the benefit. So it is foolishness for you to see that this man is winning, and then you choose to be in a position where you don't get anything. So that's why I believe in one party system, like we have seen in the Asian world. They believe, you go to in England, they are all one party. That thing you call, whether it's, they call it it's not democracy. It's a terrible lie. Yeah, you go to the UN National Security Council, it's the same principle. Elections don't take place there since 1945. Nobody rotates leaders. The leaders are hereditary and they are permanent. So if Putin goes, another one comes, and they still have a veto power. So let us go back to the traditional way of how we nominate our chiefs and our kings. If we have I still say, even if we have a leader like Muhammad Gaddafi, who stay long in power, but is able to know what is good. Where we are today in Cameroon, in Africa, is where they have been like 100 years ago. They have crossed this level, which we are today struggling to achieve. And then we still make the mistake to make comparison with them and us, when we are still trying to come out from our mother's womb. So let's cross this stage, and we build a good society, build a good economy, then we too can bring democracy.
Okay. I'll be coming back to you. Good afternoon to you all in the studio. I will first of all blame the governor of the Southwest region, Bernard Okada Bilal, by using a threat word to kidnappers. He doesn't know. He doesn't know them by face, by name, nor by family. At times, despite your position in power, don't solve problems at times with using. Don't solve problems at times without using wisdom of your tongue. That can lead to a very big danger if you come to do that, because believe me, it was the governor that gave those kidnappers threatening words before they came up with their demands. If the government can negotiate, therefore they will know where the due of Idabato is. God, please give the family strength to be strong. Okay. Now this. Do you agree, with what Mr. Ebako is saying, that if the politicians don't want to come to a coalition, the people should just abandon those parties and come to a coalition and decide which party they want to support?
The issue is how many people?
The silent majority. Because everybody's crying on the social media, we want change, we want change. If you move down to the street, just down here, you take a microphone, we want change, we want change, we want change. But how many people are coming for change? Like he said, 1 million people alone came out. If you look at the total number of those who actually voted the ruling party, look at the population and compare with the total population of Cameroon.
Yeah, the people, the issue is that we live in a country where the people are complacent about the political landscape of their nation. And they will only be changed when these people become conscient, their conscience become pricked, and they are more interested in the political activities of their country. And the issue of political parties, and then the political parties in Cameroon, you cannot change it. They are always formed along tribal lines and the rest. It would take a long time for this to change. And people voting in Cameroon is something that is something that I cannot really know how to put it in context. The voting in Cameroon will not really change the situation. He was saying that it's better we go to maybe the traditional way of doing things, which is, it is good, but it will take a long time for that kind of mentality. One of the things killing us, our mentality as Africans. He talk about colonial legacy. It is still one of the greatest weapons that's fighting us. The highest way to control a man is through his mind, and that's one of the colonial legacy we inherited that has been dealing with us. The mindset of Cameroonians is something is something to wonder about. You say you can take a voice pop up out there and then people will be crying for change, but when it comes to the day of the election, you don't see, when it comes to registration, you don't see people going to register, and they want change. How do they want change? And I think the problem of Cameroon majority is due to us. We said the leadership of every country is a reflection of the people. And I think Cameroonians, even though we don't pray that we deserve the kind of leaders we have, but our behavior shows that we deserve the kind of leaders we have. Yes, we don't pray that. The behavior of Cameroonians, we are so complacent about the political situation of our country. As if belonging to the CPDM, the economic situation is different. A CPDM militant buys bread at the same price as an SDF militant, the same price as an MRC militant, and so on.
The same traffic.
Yes, the same traffic deal with us every day, the same bad road deal with us every day.
They have a lot of advantages.
Yeah. So I don't really, at the one point in time, you ask Cameroonians that was really a problem.
But some have advantages that we don't have. Some have advantages that we don't have. For example,
only a few. Only a few.
No,
only a few have advantages
it comes to tax.
That can be medically evacuated. Most of our leaders.
They have a lot, my brother.
Yeah, they have a lot of advantages, but how many of them are there? Majority of 90% of Cameroonians who can
that's why you say that the minority that rules the majority.
Yeah, it
so
can be 5% that have that.
Why don't you join me?
Let's just all go there.
The majority.
And we all enjoy
now we all should have that advantage.
Yes.
Rather than killing ourselves, we are going for a democratic. Anyway, let me just take on this message for come to you, Mr. Kimba. You have the SPDM. Good day and happy Sunday to you, Mr. Tah Mai. Honestly, this country is really turning into something else. About the DO, I think the military in that locality have something to say. I have worked in Bakassi Peninsula and I know how the place is when it comes to insecurity. So there is no way they can leave the place where the DO is. Another point is 2 weeks ago, I left Kumba and I was going back to Yaoundé. And in Moyuka, I saw the way the military there have arrested more than 75 young guys. Yesterday it was here in Yaoundé that police in Govt arrested a guy and beat this guy to death. So with all this happening in this country, the big dash people in the offices are doing nothing. Where are we going to in this country, Mr. Tah Mai? I am Ferdinand writing from Yaoundé. Like the same thing I said that how did they carry that DO away from that place? Greetings to you all in this house. I believe Cameroon doesn't have political parties. We have people in these different parties who are power and money interested, infested bees. For Cameroonians to vote, including me, then there should be a pre-election between these different political opposition. The winner should be the sole runner against the CPDM, with all other parties supporting. Anything other than that, we will be trying to use ant-infested wood to clean our dash. I rest my case.
That's a good one.
This one says, happy Sunday, Mr. Javis, to you, the panelists. I'm enjoying the program. Jonathan from Batui.
Yes, we are talking about politics. Let me first of all greet my mayor in Nkambe, Mayor Musa Shemfo, who has been doing a very wonderful work. If you go to Nkambe, you see that Nkambe is now turning into a modern city. I want to greet him, and I want to greet my member of parliament, Honorable Time for me, Barrister Ngala Gerard, and our father, Papa Shejun Ziembe, for the wonderful work that they are doing in Nkambe. Like my friend said, you know that African politics is very complicated politics. You know why we of the CPDM we are very comfortable? We are very comfortable because we know that the opposition parties, they even fight each other rather than fighting us. That's why we are very, very comfortable. Like you said, that people can rally behind one party. There are people of the MSC who knows that their enemy is the people of SDF. And there are people of SDF who know that their enemy is the people of PCRN. So there is no way
and
that...
the chain continues.
And the chain continues. If you look at the political system in Cameroon, it is so based on... It is on tribal basis, so much such that to bring change is very, very impossible. Very impossible. Some of us, I am a member of the CPDM. If tomorrow another party comes up that can better govern this country more than the CPDM, I will just quit CPDM. But I've looked at the parties in Cameroon and I've discovered that there is no party in Cameroon who is willing to fight for the interests of the people. That's why I say that, okay, the devil you know is better than the angel you don't know. So I've decided me to be me in the CPDM because I've once been an SDF militant. If you look at during the SDF era in Nkambe, we were so backward in terms of development. But go to Nkambe now, I think the fastest developed, the town that is developing very fast in Cameroon now is Nkambe. Because we choose the right leaders, and the right leaders that are driving the goods. So I want to plead with Cameroon on that. During elections, choose the right persons. Don't choose people because you have collected their money. Once you collect their money, you become slaves to them. In Nkambe, we choose the right leaders, the right mayor, the right parliamentarian. And so you cannot talk about parliamentarian in Cameroon without mentioning Honorable Tah Javis Mai. That is the only parliamentarian that after the major national dialogue, he was able to go back to his people and preach to his people that this is what was discussed in the major national dialogue. I think there is no parliamentarian in the North and the Southwest who went back to his people to do that. Why? Because we, the Nkambe people, we choose our leaders and we choose those who could work for us fervently and bring development to us. So during the presidential elections, what many Cameroonians would do is that they will say, okay, since I'm from this tribe and my candidate, this person is from my tribe, whether he will not work well or not, I'm voting for him.
My countryman.
No, my countryman. At the end of it all, to be very candid, free and fair election in the transparent box, CPDM will win hands down.
Yeah, in this current situation.
The constitution, CPDM will win hands down. Let me give you an example. We have 360 parties in Cameroon. We of the CPDM, we know that we have already registered, there's around 5 million members. At the end of it all, you will hear that maybe 12 million Cameroonians registered to vote. During voting, when the voting day will come, maybe 8 million will vote, the rest will not vote. CPDM know that they already have their 5 million.
They're going right to 8 million. The last presidential election was 3 point something.
Yes. And now, CPDM is planted in all the villages, in all the towns of Cameroon. There are some political parties that I hear them in the water here. Even the other day I was talking to one of the political, we were in the group, I was arguing with one of the political leaders. And even in Bonaberi, people don't know you. But they want to be the president of Cameroon. Who will vote you on that day?
We're out of time.
Yes. So people, if the opposition leaders, they are very serious that they want to take over from CPDM, they should come together, form an alliance, come together and see if they can defeat President Paul Biya. But if it's in this present dispensation, I bet you, my brother, CPN is going to win hands down.
Thank you very much, Mr. Atem Ebako. Thank you very much for coming. Yeah, any last word?
Yes, the idea of, kicking out an administration, it all depends. If the people can still correct the administration, if they rally behind, they can make CPDM become greater than what it's doing today. Leadership in Cameroon, in Africa, is very challenging, especially when you have interferences and oppositions. Even when they are doing something right, people condemn them. We live in a society where we instead prefer to condone evil and then condemn what is good. So we can still correct things in place if we unite and say, okay, let's see how we can work together. It can still work.
Thank you very much for coming, Nick Nkem.
Thank you for having me. The issue is having accountable leadership, and I think Cameroonians should be working towards that direction. And a coalition of the opposition is something that is a must do if they want to really go somewhere. I think the supposed win, in quote, of Fundi in the 90s or in 1992 was due to a coalition.
It was Mouvement pour le Changement.
Yes, it was due to a coalition, and I think those who are political leaders in the opposition today, they have to shun their greed. They have to shun their greed and then try to see how they can come together. At least, even if it is coming together for the sake of coming together, we should see that they are coming together for a change. We don't. Most of the political opposition leaders, you see them around only during elections. Most of them are on social media. You don't see them educating the masses about the political landscape of the country. You see them, they are always about their own business until elections are around before they begin to talk.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Javis. Thank you, all the panelists. I think it has been a pleasure for me to be here once more. I want to thank those who have taken time this afternoon to follow us on My Media Prime TV. And I bet you anytime I'm in Douala, if I'm chance, I will always be here.
Thanks to all those of you who took our time to watch this program. This program comes up every Sunday at exactly 12 to 1:30 p.m. Rebroadcast will be this same Sunday at 10:30 p.m. If you want to be a member of our program, you want to participate on our discussion, my number is on the screen. You can contact me after the program, and I will include you into the WhatsApp group where we share topics weekly. If it's of your interest and your specialty, you can indicate, and we will now program you for the topic to be discussed. Until we meet again, no matter the matter, what matters is your matter. And what should matter for you is that you should stay out of trouble. My name is Tah Javis, Cameroon's commercial capital, Douala. Thank you, John Bange. Bye-bye.